Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome back to my podcast if you are listening to this in audio only. Today we're going to be talking about your May horoscopes. But before we start talking astrology, I have a few things that I would like to mention to you. First and foremost, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, so all the episodes on my channel and on my podcast are going to be following Western tropical astrology. Secondly, you can work with me on a one-to-one basis. I offer readings and one-to-one consultations. You can find me on writteninthestars-astrology.com. This is my website. If you go to the services section, you are going to find there multiple types of readings that you can go for. Probably the most popular ones are the 1 hour live Zoom video call consultation, in which we can talk about your natal chart, your year ahead. We can dive into compatibility, relocation, whatever it is that you are interested in. So this type of session is completely personalized to your own needs. You can also opt for a 12 months ahead forecast, a yearly forecast, which is an audio recorded only type of reading, or for an audio recorded only natal chart reading. And there's also a few additional types of readings there. I will let you dive in, writteninthestars-astrology.com. Let's talk about what May has in store for us, first and foremost, at a collective level, and then we're obviously going to dive into the 12 zodiac signs, into the updates for all 12 signs. As your internet mom, as your astrologer mom, I have to mention one thing and one thing only. You know that nagging, pesky mom that always says the same thing and reminds you of the same thing, but if she didn't mention it, you'd probably forget about it. If you jump straight to your sign, because there are timestamps in the description box of the video and of the podcast episode, make sure first and foremost to listen to the update for your rising sign / ascendant. If you can find out your time of birth from your mother, from your birth certificate, you can also find out what your ascendant is. And generally, the update for the ascendant is probably going to be more accurate because the ascendant is our window to the world. Now, if you only know your sun sign, that's also fine. The sun sign is based on your date of birth. And why is it okay to listen to the sun sign even if you don't know the ascendant? Because the sun sign is our sense of identity. It's our ego. It's our hero journey. May is going to be such an eventful month, folks. I mean, a lot has happened in April, but nowhere near what we are in for in May. So, what's cooking? Let me take you through the key dates and the key aspects unfolding in May. On the 3rd of May, we have the Sun squaring Saturn and Mercury squaring Jupiter. On the 4th of May, Mercury moves into Gemini. And I know some people are going to say, oh no, it's on the 3rd of May. Well, it's on the 4th of May if we follow GMT time. So I'm based in the UK and I do follow GMT, UTC timings, but you can obviously adjust your timings according to your own time zone. So Mercury is entering Gemini, and it's gonna stay in Gemini for such a long time. It's actually gonna stay in the sign of Gemini until the 11th of July. So Mercury in the meantime is also gonna be going retrograde in May, this month. It's gonna go retrograde on the 29th of May, and it's gonna move in retrograde until the 22nd of June. And it's gonna go in retrograde in the same sign as the eclipses, because we are entering eclipse season, folks. So in May, we have Mercury going retrograde, we have eclipse season kicking off, we have, well, let me take you chronologically through the most important dates. On the 6th of May, Venus is going to be trining Pluto. On the 9th of May, Venus is going to be moving from Taurus into Gemini. Then, let's see. When does Venus get out of Gemini? on the 2nd of June. So it's going to move through Gemini until the 2nd of June. Then on the 11th of May, we have a new moon happening in Taurus at 21 degrees of Taurus, very nicely aspected to Pluto in Capricorn. So I'm actually really looking forward to this new moon. There are some tense aspects in the sky. Obviously, there always are tense aspects in the sky, but these days, at least that's what it feels like it. But this is going to be a new moon that you're actually going to enjoy, because it gives us a sense of stability. It gives us a sense of grounding. Then on the 12th of May, Mars in Cancer is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus, and Mercury in Gemini is going to be trining Saturn in Aquarius. Well, this day feels like a great victory collectively. And it feels like we're moving somewhere. It feels like we're getting somewhere. It feels like we're making progress that is going to last. Then on the 13th of May, this is one I'm super excited about because I am so travel depleted right now, as we are all. And I know this is a first world problem to have, and I completely acknowledge that it might be insensitive. But Jupiter moving through Pisces from the 13th of May until the 28th of July is very, very likely for a lot of people around the world going to result in the possibility to travel, to move again. And it doesn't have to be long distance travel, although Jupiter is connected with long distance travel in general, but it gives us this sense of hope, and it gives us this sense of freedom once again, of having the ability to explore once again, because Jupiter rules over Pisces. So before Neptune was discovered, Jupiter was the traditional ruler of both Sagittarius and Pisces, and Jupiter is considered to be in its domicile in Pisces. On the 20th of May, the Sun moves into Gemini as well, so it's absolutely joining the Gemini party. We are going to have an absolute blast. Venus is going to be trining Saturn in Aquarius. On the 23rd of May, Mercury is squaring Neptune, so this is a bit of a murky day. And on the 26th of May, folks, we have a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. So it's a full moon lunar eclipse. It's a culmination. It's an ending, triggering Gemini and Sagittarius. The sun is going to be in Gemini, the moon is going to be in Sagittarius, and they are going to be forming a T-square in the sky with Jupiter in Pisces. Now, whenever Jupiter is involved, there's this sense of like optimism and buoyancy and cheerfulness and expansion, and this eclipse might actually result in an excessive optimism, if that's even possible. We might get a little bit ahead of ourselves. We might think, oh yes, this is over, this is done, life is great, let's move, let's travel, let's meet people. What we also have at the time happening in the sky is Mercury in a tense aspect to Neptune. So I'm going to do a separate video, as I generally do, about the full moon and the new moon happening next month. But let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of confusion in the air. Probably a lot of misleading information. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, we're probably lying to ourselves as well. I know. Not great. Then what's happening after the 26th? Well, on the 29th of May, as I've mentioned, Mercury goes retrograde until the 22nd of June next month. And on the 31st of May, this is a really good day. Mars in Cancer is trining Neptune. This is a very healing aspect, a very, let's say, soothing aspect. How? It's soothing for the ego. It's like we're licking our wounds. So, let us kick it all off once again with the one and only Aries. Aries, what does May have in store for you? Aries suns and Aries rising. Well, there's going to be a lot of activity obviously happening in Gemini, and Gemini governs your third house of short distance travel, your third house of communication, of learning, of siblings, of transportation, of sales. So consider yourselves incredibly busy in May, because I'm telling you, your agenda is gonna be packed and you are gonna be on the go pretty much nonstop. That's the way I'm seeing it. So from the 4th of May until the 11th of July, Mercury, which is actually the ruler of your logical objective mind, is going to be moving through your 3rd house. Then on the 9th of May, Venus joins the party, and Venus moves into Gemini in your 3rd house as well, until... Let's see, until when? Until the 2nd of June. So what's happening with Venus from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June going through your 3rd house? It looks like you are in the mood to spend your money because Venus rules your 2nd house of income and values on activities connected to socialization. You might buy new things, you might treat yourself, you might take people out, you might catch up with people and go for lunch, for dinner. There's a lot of socialization, and with it, it looks like you are getting rid of that hard-earned cash, and you are probably having an absolute blast. You are enjoying it. It also feels like you are, between the 9th of May and the 2nd of June, like you're connecting very easily with people in terms of communication. It feels like communication is flowing very easily and very, very smoothly. Now, from the 9th of May until the 13th, Mars, which is still going to be transiting through Cancer. By the way, Mars is moving through Cancer this entire month. So throughout the entire month of May, there is absolutely no change there. Mars in Cancer in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past is sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house of income. What's happening here? Well, it looks like if you are putting money towards home-related matters, it looks like the results are very pleasant for you. So let's say you may be renovating the home, or you might be buying furniture for the home, or you might be shopping around for the home, or looking to spend money connected to home or family related activities. And by the looks of it, the results, they're not only great, they're actually surprisingly good. That's how I would look at it. Because Mars is also the ruler of your sense of self and identity, and because it's contacting Uranus in the 2nd house, which is connected also with self-worth and self-esteem, it does look like your relationship with family members is making you feel really, really good about yourself. It's like, yes, I feel appreciated here. I feel appreciated at home. If you need to get anything done in the house, I strongly recommend doing it before, well, not before, but between the 9th and the 13th of May, because these days seem to be incredibly productive. Now, on the 11th of May, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 2nd house of income. And as I've mentioned, I really, really like this new moon because it's in a fantastic aspect to Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, in your 10th house, and also in a fabulous, fabulous aspect to, let's see, who else is involved? To Neptune. Neptune placed in your 12th house. And Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house of income and values is going to be exactly sextiling Mars in Cancer in your 4th house. So, my lovely Aries, it looks like you are kicking off a new financial cycle in your life, a cycle where you're feeling richer, you're feeling wealthier, you're feeling more prosperous. Some folks might be paid a new salary for the first time, and it does look like the salary is significantly higher than what you were making beforehand. Some people at this time might agree to essentially might agree with their employer to get a raise. Some folks might actually score an important new client, so you could be signing an important new deal that puts you in a fabulous light with leadership. For those of you who are working for themselves, this is looking very good. It looks like you are literally hitting the jackpot, And it's not something based on luck. It's something based on significant hard work and your talents being recognized, acknowledged, and you being given the opportunity to put them to great use. And there is this element of maybe a new client coming from the shadow somehow. So there's kind of like this surprising element about this new beginning in the area of finances for you. You might be getting paid finally for something that you didn't think you would get paid for a very long time. Or there could be an unexpected sum of money coming your way, obviously for work that you're gonna do. So once again, it's not you winning the lottery. Let me put it out there. It's you giving your services, offering your services in exchange for compensation. But it can feel as if this client or this deal or this raise is God-given. I absolutely love that Neptune in Pisces in the 12th house. Very, very nicely aspected to the new moon in your second house. And it looks like what you're doing with this money is you're planning to put it somehow towards the home or towards achieving a better state of living at home. So you might be thinking, okay, now that I'm making more money, I can afford to live someplace else, or I can afford to look for a new home, or I can afford to help my family financially. Now, on the 13th of May until, let's see, until the 28th of July, well, 27th, 28th, depending on where you're at in the world, we have Jupiter moving through Pisces in your 12th house, my dear Aries. What's happening here? Well, I gotta tell you, with Jupiter moving through Pisces in your 12th house until the end of July, you're gonna be feeling very much in holiday mode, or you're gonna be feeling ready for a holiday. So it's like at the beginning of the month, it's like tick the boxes of productivity, scoring a new client, getting a raise, bringing home the bacon. And then you're probably gonna feel like, you know what? I could use some rest. Jupiter moving through your 12th house is going to give you a nudge to say, slow down, take it easy. Why are you running around? Why are you rushing around? Why all this fuss? Go on a retreat, go to the spa, enjoy life, go read a book somewhere in the garden. Hold yourself away from the world for some time in order to recharge your batteries. Indeed, recharging your batteries and spending time by yourself and looking inwards and going through a period of introspection is probably going to be something that you're going to be looking very much forward to. And it's going to feel like some sort of godsend if you do have the ability to take a holiday, to take some time off when Jupiter is going through this part of your chart. You may also experience very vivid dreams. You may also experience an increase in interest and in insights coming to you through your dreams, through your meditations, through your spiritual practice. If there's one thing that Jupiter amplifies is your intuition throughout this entire period. And if you need rest, really do get some rest because you're going to be on fire pretty soon. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun also moves into Gemini in your third house. The sun is the governor of your fifth house of fun and entertainment. So you are feeling more and more in the mood to let your hair down. It's like, can't we just take a breather for some time? We've worked so hard, and you have worked so hard, Aries. And on the 26th of May, and I would also recommend looking at the week before and the week after, because we have to take into account the entire time frame when we talk about eclipses. There is an eclipse going on in your 9th house, triggering your 9th house, 3rd house axis, the axis of learning and the axis of movement and travel. It is opposing, obviously, the moon in the 9th house of long distance travel, higher mind, higher education, the legal system, all things connected to judicial matters, for instance, visas, travel documents, passports. The moon is opposing the sun in the 3rd house of communications. And it is part of a T-square with Jupiter in your... let's see. Jupiter in your 12th house. What's going on here? You may hear news at this time that is bringing to your attention the closure, the ending of some sort of legal matter at this time, of some sort of educational cycle. If you have been waiting to hear about visas, travel documents, and the like, you are probably going to hear something connected to this around the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after. Now, I do want to flag my lovely Aries that there can be elements that are unexpected that come to the surface with the full moon and the eclipse triggering Jupiter in your 12th house. Essentially, you may have to submit additional documents. The news that you were expecting doesn't necessarily come in the format that you expected it to. You might have to rearrange your travel plans, reorganize yourself, be a little bit more flexible. If you can, I gotta tell you, around the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, my recommendation is to keep your schedule very, very flexible, because you might have to travel at the drop of a hat. You might have to adjust your movement plans. It would be fantastic if you could play it by ear and if you could go with the flow, because there's very likely to be disruption in this area. Now, Neptune in Pisces in your 12th house at the time is sextiling Mars in Cancer in your 4th house of home. So there is the possibility of you staying at home for a little bit longer, or there is the possibility, if you do need to take care of matters connected to travel, connected to visas, connected to education, that a member of your family can help. So I would enlist them. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury is going retrograde in Gemini in your 3rd house. So consider yourselves warned, my dear Aries. You might have to go over classes, courses once again. You might have to resend documents, maybe to some sort of institution. You might have to retake an exam. That's something that is very, very possible. And if you have bought a vehicle, if you have bought a car, you might have to fix something about it. You might have to take it back. I strongly advise against buying any sort of gadgets when Mercury is retrograde, and also any sort of vehicles. Now, you may actually have to travel somewhere where you have been before and essentially take care of matters connected to 3rd house issues. So siblings issues. I'm kidding. My sister, if you're watching this, please forgive me. So you might have to essentially make phone calls, travel short distance to solve something connected to your car, connected to siblings, connected to a course of study. Keep your schedule open, dear Aries. That's what I've got for you. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, what is going on for you in May, my lovely Taurians? Well, there is going to be a lot, and I mean a lot of focus on 2nd house matters. I'm talking money, and more money, and it's going to feel like until July, very likely. There is so much of your life revolving around money and expenses and how you make your money and sources of income. I mean, at least you know what to expect. So let me break down the astrology for you. So from the 4th of May, Mercury moves into Gemini in your 2nd house until the 11th of July. And it's actually, this period is going to include a period of retrograde. Then from the 9th of May, Venus, which is your ruler, also goes through Gemini in your 2nd house until the 2nd of June. This is actually something that I really like. This period is one that I really, really like, because between the 9th of May and the 2nd of June, you are probably going to feel inclined, with Venus, your ruler, in your second house of finances, to spend money on things that bring you joy and that make you feel more like yourself. This is actually, it's a fantastic aspect to buy products and services and experiences that make you feel much more in touch with yourself, that make you feel like you are taking care of yourself, like you're pampering yourself, like you're looking after yourself. Venus generally is also very, let's say, receptive. It's a feminine energy that likes to receive. So you could say that you're very likely to attract more money into your life throughout this period as well, when Venus is going through your second house. Why? Because you are very charming and very charismatic and very persuasive. And with Venus going through the second house, it may also feel like the world appreciates your talents more than usual. So more than they're normally aware of them. All of a sudden, it can feel like you're getting a lot of positive attention for your skills and for what you bring to the table. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars, who, by the way, Mars is going to be moving through Cancer this entire month. Nothing's changing in terms of signs. Mars is going to be in Cancer in your 3rd house of communication and short distance travel. And between the 9th and the 13th, it's going to be sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 1st house. Well, this aspect is a very, very productive aspect for sales. So if you are looking to buy something, to sell something, to sign a sales deal, then this aspect is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it makes it feel like the world wants to cooperate and collaborate with you on anything connected to sales and commerce. You might have to make some short distance, let's say, journeys between this period, because Mars likes to be on the move, and sextiling Uranus in your 1st house, it could be quite an impromptu decision to go somewhere, to take care of something, and you're feeling on fire. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to talk to people. Boom, 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 bam, bam, bam. So nothing is standing in your way. And it can also feel like you're getting a boost in energy between this period when it comes to especially interacting with other people and moving around and traveling around locally. Now, on the 11th of May, you have a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous new moon in your 1st house. I would also look, obviously, at the 3 days before, 3 days after the 11th of May. The new moon in Taurus in your 1st house of identity and the self and your physical body and your self-development is trining Pluto and Capricorn in your 9th house of the higher mind, as well as long distance travel. And it's in a beautiful aspect to Neptune and Pisces in your 11th house of friends. Plus, on the same day, Uranus and Taurus in your 1st house is exactly sextiling Mars and Cancer in your 3rd house. What's happening at this time? You are literally being reborn. It's like, yes, this is a new me coming out into the surface, coming out into the world. I'm re-energized. I feel much prouder and much more confident in who I am. I feel ready for a new beginning. It feels like a new cycle of life for you, of growth, of development. It feels like a new beginning for the year in general, my dear Taurus. You only get one new moon in your sign every year, like all other signs. So it can literally feel like you're getting an infusion of energy at this time. It's like, yes, let's do this. Let's go out into the world. I love it. I'm confident. I'm strong. I feel good about myself. And you might seal the deal let's say, with some sort of plans to travel, because the new moon is trining Pluto in Capricorn in the 9th house of long distance travel. You are feeling ready to be on the move again, and you might also have some sort of revelation about yourself. It's like something clicks in your head. It's like you're like, yes, now I understand something about me that maybe I wasn't willing to face beforehand, something connected to the shadow. because Pluto is very much connected to the shadow. I am loving this new moon for you, Taurus. Now, on the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, Jupiter is moving into Pisces, into its domicile in your 11th house of long-term plans, as well as friends and collaborators. Taurians, seriously. Your social life is gonna be on fire for the next 2.5 months from the 13th of May onwards. It can feel like you are making friends anywhere and everywhere. Everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone wants to connect with you. Everyone wants to collaborate with you at this time. And you might actually, between the 13th of May and the 27th, 28th of July, you might attract investors in your life, because the 11th house, by the way, and this is generally very, very important, especially for people who run their own business or who work for themselves. The 11th house is connected with income coming from your own business. You can attract investors into your business, and you can also increase your audience in general, because the 11th house is connected with exposure. It's connected with the public. It's connected with our audiences. If you are running your own business, and even if you're not, even if you're working for someone else, it's a fabulous, fabulous time to increase your exposure, and it looks like you are incredibly well received by the public. Your circle, your social circles are expanding. You are meeting friends anywhere and everywhere, and it can feel like it is giving you exactly what you needed in order to look forward to your future with confidence and enthusiasm, because you may not have necessarily been in the best of places mentally lately, and you needed this support from the world around you to remind you of how awesome you are, my dear Taurus. You're probably also going to be feeling very much in the mood to make plans for the future, to travel with friends, to connect with friends from overseas. It's looking really good. It's looking really good. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun also moves into Gemini, joining the Gemini party in your second house of income. And on the 26th of May, and I would also look at the week before the week after, Taurus, this is when we have, well, the big bang of the month. We are in eclipse season once again. So we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, triggering your 8th house, 2nd house axis. So your axis of income, your axis of finances, your money versus other people's money. And it's opposing, obviously, the moon in your 8th house is opposing the sun in your 2nd house of income, and it is part of a T-square with Jupiter and Pisces in your 11th house of long-term plans. So first and foremost, Taurians, I gotta put it out there to you. This full moon, this lunar eclipse can bring to the surface some sort of unexpected expense, or it can bring the sudden closure of a financial deal between you and a partner. Some people might end, let's say, financial, circumstances in which they were involved with a partner, such as a division of assets between marriage partners. Some people might be closing fully a deal, a business deal, as in you're walking away from it because it's no longer making sense financially for you. Some people might hear news of some sort of money that they have to pay to someone, or there is a possibility, because the 8th house is the house of shared resources, that a partner in your life, a life partner, or I know, I keep on saying the same thing. A life partner or a business partner might need you to chip in and help them financially, because they are not doing great. And it does seem to interfere a little bit with the plans, especially the social plans and the travel plans that you might have made, Taurus. However, Neptune and Pisces at the time in your 11th house is sextiling Mars and Cancer in your 3rd house of communication. So what's happening at this time is, if you do need advice, if you do need help, if you're not sure how to tackle this financial conundrum, because it is probably going to be a financial conundrum, let's face it. It's something sudden, it's an expense, it's a debt, it's something that needs to be taken care of all of a sudden. You might not have made plans for it. I would recommend asking for help from friends, and I would recommend asking for help from colleagues and from the people that you have in your life, asking for advice, because they are very likely to help you and guide you in the right direction and clarify things for you. And from the 29th of May, Mercury is going retrograde in Gemini in your second house of income until the 22nd of June. So let me tell you, this is the time when you're probably going to have to go over your expenses list. You're probably going to have to revisit how you budget things, how you've allocated your resources for the months ahead. You might, well, it's actually also a really good period for those who are owed money themselves. So if you have been waiting for a payment from someone and it has been delayed, then you are likely to receive it throughout the period of the retrograde. But if you were hoping to get some money around the eclipse time and you hear news from the person who owed you money, oh no, something came up, then let me tell you that the delay might actually last for the entire period of the retrograde. I also strongly recommend that you look into your accounts very closely to see what's coming out of your accounts, what's coming out of your monthly expenses when Mercury is in retrograde. Because there can be misunderstandings, there can be mistakes made. You might have missed something, or you might have been, let's say, charged twice for a service. Very, very strongly recommend paying close attention to everything that comes and goes into your account, that goes out of your account, when Mercury is retrograde between the 29th of May and the 22nd of June. And that is Taurus. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings, you are the stars of the zodiac. Yes, this month there's so much happening in your sign. Literally, this is the Gemini party. So it can literally feel like you are in the spotlight for the entire month and probably also for the first part of June. So whatever it is that you decide to do with this energy and the attention that you are being given is up to you. Use your free will. But make no mistake. Everyone's going to want to talk to you. Everyone's going to want to hear your opinion. Everyone's going to have something to ask you. You are going to be in very high demand, Geminis, this month. So from the 4th of May, Mercury, your ruler, enters Gemini in your first house of identity, and it's actually going to be in your first house until the 11th of July. So throughout this entire period, it can feel like there is more than usual an increase in your communicational activity, an increase in your mental and intellectual activity. You can also feel, I gotta say, you're probably gonna enjoy this period because you might feel a lot quicker mentally. Not that you're not already super swift when it comes to making connections, talking, interacting with others, using your wits, because obviously you are ruled by Mercury, the god of logic. But your mind is gonna be even more active than normal. And sometimes this is not necessarily the, let's say, easiest energy to deal with because it can feel like you are overthinking things. Your mind is working overtime, Geminis. From the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also joining Mercury in your first house of identity. So this is probably something that you are really, really, really going to like, because Venus is the ruler of your 5th house of fun and enjoyment and entertainment. And it can feel like the fun is coming to you. It can feel like everyone wants to take you out. Everyone wants to catch up with you, to socialize with you, to take you to a party. You are feeling much more attractive and charismatic than you already are with Venus in the first house. It can feel like you're getting a lot of very positive attention, and the world is very receptive to your presence, to what you have to say, to how you interact with them. It makes you incredibly persuasive. It makes you very attractive. It also makes you in the mood for romance, Gemini going through, Venus going through her first house. So it's a very, very good time to go out, if you're single, to meet someone, to set up dates, to look after yourself, to pamper yourself, to treat yourself, to get a haircut, to buy new clothes. I feel like I always mention this when Venus is going through someone's first house, but I suppose that's what I do. So, hey, I mean, I'm only talking from experience here. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars in Cancer in your second house of income is sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 12th house. Okay, this is when you can score some unexpected financial deals, and it can feel like you are getting money out of thin air. So brace yourselves, Geminis, for some very, very pleasant financial surprises. On the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 12th house of introspection, of retreat, of spirituality. And it is trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house of intimacy. And it's in a beautiful aspect to Neptune in Pisces in your 10th house. My dear Geminis, around this time, around the 11th of May, it looks like you are kicking off a new cycle of spirituality in your life. You may feel inclined at this time to dive even deeper into your spiritual practice, to actually set up a spiritual practice that helps you connect your body and mind and to achieve more balance and more equilibrium in your private life. So for instance, this is a fantastic time to start off a meditation or a yoga practice. So something that brings the body and the mind in a better connection. Let's put it this way. It's also a time when you might be receiving some very, very good news about something that you've been doing, something that you've been working on behind the scenes. It could be a side hustle. You could be kicking off a side hustle that you're kind of like trying to keep away from prying eyes, because you may not necessarily feel ready to share it with the world just yet. But it's looking great, Geminis, and it's probably going to result in an increase in your income in the long run. So keep at it. Keep at it. That's my recommendation. Now, from the 13th of May until the 27th of July, 27th, 28th, depending on where you're at in the world, Jupiter is going to be moving through Pisces in your 10th house of career. Oh my days, Geminis, seriously, this is the time. This is a 2.5 months period when you could actually be getting some unbelievable opportunities in your career. And I don't say this lightly. Jupiter, the great benefic, the bringer of good luck, the bringer of opportunities, the actual ruler of your 10th house of career, only goes through a sign once every 12 years. It's gonna transit your 10th house once again in 2022, but this is a period when you might be getting a taster as to how high you can take your career and how much you can climb professionally. It is a brilliant time, let me tell you, to say yes to new career opportunities, to look out for new career opportunities, to sell your services and to sell your brand and to promote yourself, because Jupiter is the big disseminator of ideas. It spreads ideas, it spreads philosophies, it spreads belief systems. It is a fabulous, fabulous time to promote your business, to promote your services, to promote yourself, to promote your resume, to put your resume out there, because it is actually very possibly, very likely to result in some big career opportunity that makes you step up on that professional ladder. It's also a time when you are seen very favorably by people in positions of authority, by leaders, by bosses, and also from an institutional perspective. So my recommendation, Geminis, is really, really take advantage of this time. Now, on the 20th of May, the sun enters Gemini and joins the Gemini party in your first house of identity. You are in the spotlight. Everyone's watching. Everyone's looking at you. You are getting so much exposure. I cannot even tell you. I mean, you're probably going to feel like you're getting a lot of exposure and that you are asked to step up and to step on stage and to be in the limelight until Jupiter gets out of your 10th house. And with the sun in the first house, everyone's watching. It's like all of a sudden, everyone's taking notice of what you do, who you are. See how you use this attention. My recommendation would be to use it to achieve your career objectives. Now, on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. So a culmination, because that's what full moons bring to them. Well, a culmination on steroids. Triggering your first house and your 7th house of partnerships. So we have the moon in Sagittarius in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships and committed relationships and business partnerships as well. Opposing the sun in your 1st house and also forming a T-square with Jupiter in Pisces in your 10th house of status and public reputation. So what's happening at this time? Well, I gotta tell you, some Geminis are likely to reach a significant culminating moment in their partnerships, if they are in a partnership. So some people might commit, they might get engaged, they might announce something to the world together. Maybe the fact that they're getting married, the fact that they're moving in together, the fact that they're buying a home, the fact that they're having, I don't know, a baby, or that they're making plans for the future. I'm also going to say it can go either way. So some couples, Geminis, I have to tell you, you might find something out about your partner, or you might hear news from them that they do not want the partnership to continue, that you have to take quite a sudden decision, quite an unexpected decision. You maybe didn't see this coming, but it can lead to the termination of a partnership, be it a life partnership or a business partnership. And you might feel very worried as to how this reflects upon your personality, your image, your reputation, your place into the world. What I can tell you, though, is that Neptune and Pisces in your house of career at the time and your house of reputation is sextiling Mars in Cancer in your 2nd house of talents, values, and income. So I wouldn't be so worried about how this reflects, how this decision reflects upon your place in the world and upon your status, because you are being very appreciated by the world for your talents and skills. And plus, at the time, you also have Venus in your 1st house, which makes you very liked. So I wouldn't be concerned, but it does seem to be the official end of a chapter in your partnership sector as you know it, and endings always bring with them new beginnings. It might not be something, though, that you were mentally prepared for. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury goes retrograde in your 1st house. And when Mercury goes retrograde through our 1st house, it can feel as if we may not necessarily be so easily understood by the world. It can lead to us overanalyzing ourselves. It can also lead to us maybe deciding to do some work on ourselves because we objectively realize, okay, maybe there's something that I need to develop. Maybe I need to work on my negotiation skills. Maybe I need to develop a certain type of communicational skill that I might have taken for granted. Patience with yourself. It's probably something that I strongly recommend when Mercury is going retrograde in your 1st house. Mercury is also the ruler of your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past. You may feel inclined to look into yourself and to analyze how certain events from the past and from your family's life may have reflected upon how you present yourself to the world, and upon your image out into the world, and upon how you want to be perceived by the world. So it's a period of analyzing yourself. That's how I would look at it, my dear Geminis. My dear Cancerians, Cancer Suns and Cancer Risings, what is going on for you in the month of May? Well, it looks like we're going to be resting quite a bit. There's a lot of activity happening in our 12th house. And I say our 12th house because I am a Cancer rising myself. So from the 4th of May until actually the 11th of July, so for quite some time, Mercury is gonna be moving into Gemini in your 12th house. So you could say that a great deal of your intellectual energy is gonna be geared towards 12th house matters, spirituality, introspection, the shadow, understanding the parts of your life and the events of your life that you may not necessarily have that much control over. And Mercury is probably going to give you some pretty vivid dreams. And it could actually give you, throughout this entire period, my dear Cancerians, some very insightful messages through your dreams or through your meditations. So when you essentially move away from the 3D material reality, when you're not necessarily as grounded in the 3D material reality, Cancerians. And throughout this entire period, from the 4th of May until the 11th of July, you might actually start a course of study, but in private. So you might actually be inclined to study something on your own, by yourself. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also going to be moving through Gemini in your 12th house. Can I say how great a time this is to rest, Cancerians? And I'm talking to myself as well, because I'm planning to take some holiday. I'm planning to take some time off. I'm so excited about it. You're going to hear me talk about it quite a lot on my social media. Venus essentially makes you enjoy time spent away from the world, resting, chilling, disconnecting from the world. It's a fantastic time to go to the spa, to go for a retreat, to go for some sort of like a retreat type of holiday. You're also probably going to enjoy a great deal time spent by yourself, because Venus brings pleasure and the 12th house is the house of introspection. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars in Cancer in your first house of identity is going to be, by the way, Mars is going to be transiting through your first house throughout the entire month of May. So that's not changing in May. Mars is going to be sextiling Uranus in your 11th house of friends in Taurus between this entire period. It can feel as if very suddenly, very, let's say, fortuitously, you are making significant progress related to one of your long-term plans, because the 11th house is the house of long-term plans. And it also looks like you may be receiving some unexpected help from some sort of collaborator, from an ally, from a friend connected to one of your long-term goals that solves things for you, and especially something related to your career, because Mars is the ruler of your 10th house of career. Now, on the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a new moon in Taurus in your 11th house of long-term goals, plans, dreams, friends, and it's going to be trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house of partnerships, and Neptune in Pisces in your 9th house of the higher mind and long-distance travel and belief systems. Oh my days, Cancerians, you seem to have some sort of announcement to make to the world about one of your long-term plans. You could be launching some sort of promotional campaign. You could be establishing a new long-term collaboration by the looks of it. And it seems to be a collaboration that you may not have necessarily dreamt of, you may not have necessarily envisaged. It almost seems too good to be true. It's a surprising, but also incredibly fulfilling, let's say, recognition of what you have to bring to the world, and of the fact that you can take one of your long-term goals and plans to the next level with the help of a very powerful partner, because Pluto is power and Pluto is in your 7th house of partnerships. At this time, you may also have some sort of announcement to make to the world, to your friends, maybe related to your partnership sector. It can be a time when you make plans with friends to travel, and to travel someplace foreign, with that Neptune in Pisces in your 9th house. It's an exhilarating new moon, my dear Cancerians, and it is giving you so much life. Now, from the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, Jupiter, the bringer of good luck, opportunities, the big protector, is going to be transiting through your 9th house. I'm so excited about this, folks. Literally, I'm looking at this transit. I'm like, yes, Jupiter, send me away. Jupiter is very probably going to send Cancerians and Cancer risings in particular away to travel throughout this entire period. And I know that the situation around the world might be different depending on where you're at, but let me tell you, it is going to bring you, Jupiter, this hunger to expand yourself, to explore, to broaden your mind, to travel, to meet new people, to connect with new people, to start learning something. It could increase your appetite to develop your higher mind, to develop yourself in a new philosophical or spiritual direction. It's going to increase, very likely, the amount of cultural events that you attend. And for those of you who work in an area connected to marketing, publishing, advertising, spreading ideas to the world, between the 13th of May and the 27th, 28th of July is literally the best time when you can run an advertising campaign, a PR campaign, anything connected to sharing your stories to the world, because this is probably going to be wildly successful, Cancerians. Consider yourselves warned of this incredibly positive time when it comes to spreading your views and your ideas and your stories to the world. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun moves into Gemini in your 12th house, once again illuminating the area connected to spirituality. And the sun is the ruler of your 2nd house of values and income. So you may feel very inclined when the sun is going through your 12th house to spend money, to spend your resources, to spend your time on matters connected to spirituality, connected to mysticism, connected to transcending mundane reality. Now, on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, because it's an eclipse, we have a full moon, a lunar eclipse, happening in Sagittarius in your 6th house of day-to-day work, as well as health and habits and routines and behaviors. It's opposing the sun in Gemini in your 12th house of spirituality and of charity and of service to others, but service that is unpaid. And it's forming a T-square with Jupiter in your 9th house at the time. Well, eclipses bring culminations, they bring closures, they bring peaks. Some of you Cancer rising out there, Cancer risings out there, and Cancer suns also possibly, might become very acutely aware of the fact that you no longer want to work in the environment that you have been working in. So some of you might have this sort of like sudden revelation and say, this workplace, this work environment is no longer aligned with my life philosophy. It is time to walk away. It does look like you are going to be saying goodbye to some of the daily duties and responsibilities that you may have had up until this point. There can also be some very sudden news connected to your way of working, your day-to-day kind of like way of working. Maybe there's a restructuring of the team. Maybe a team member is leaving and it's leaving you a little bit up in the air. It's like, oh no, who's gonna pick this up? Why? This is like such a massive hassle. There can be something happening also that disrupts your plans to travel, I gotta say. So you might have to readjust your plans to travel, and it can be something connected with your day-to-day work. This full moon might also draw your attention. It might put the spotlight on a health-related issue or challenge that seems to have some sort of mental and emotional undertone to it. So you might have a very sudden revelation. It's like, aha, now I understand where it's coming from. I understand the symbolism. I understand why and how and where. I'm also going to tell you, Cancerians, you can probably feel exhausted at this time. It's like, enough is enough. I need to rest. I've been working like crazy. So if you can get ahead of it and if you can get some time off, I would highly, highly recommend it, because you may be running on empty around this time and you do not want to collapse physically. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury is going to be moving in retrograde in your 12th house, essentially prompting you very likely to go over issues that you thought that maybe they were buried and maybe you thought that you had overcome them. Something that may have affected possibly your mental health. Also something that may be connected in some shape or form with your communication with siblings. If you do have siblings, you might feel a little bit upset in regards to something that is happening in one of your siblings' lives, or there can be something that goes on in your life that requires you to rest and prevents you from taking some sort of like short distance travel that you may have had planned between this time frame. And that is May for you, my lovely Cancerians. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings, what can you expect from the month of May? Well, there is going to be a lot of energy this month concentrated in your 11th house of long-term plans, goals for the future, objectives, dreams, as well as friends and connections and collaborators and alliances. So let's dive into it. On the 4th of May, we have Mercury moving into Gemini in your 11th house, and Mercury feels at home here, and Mercury is actually going to stay in this part of your chart for quite some time because it's gonna go retrograde at the end of the month. So you can expect a boost of mercurial, intellectual, communicational energy going through this part of your life until the 11th of July. Let me tell you, Leos, your social life is gonna be on fire. Well, you could say it's gonna be on air because Gemini is an air sign, but I suppose the metaphor doesn't really work. There are going to be so many people that you're gonna catch up with. There's going to be so much social interaction, so much communication happening, and a lot of it is gonna be very productive, I will say. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, we also have Venus moving into this part of your chart until the 2nd of June, and in particular, I have to tell you that between this time frame, it can feel as if collaborative efforts, team efforts are going better than they have gone in a very, very long time in your life. It can feel like people are much more willing to work together with you. It can also feel like you have more charm and even more charisma. And I know what you're gonna say. Rux, we are the most charismatic sign of the zodiac. Who do you think you're talking to? But this time, really, you're gonna be feeling the applause and approval and acknowledgement and validation from your friends and from wider groups of people that you may be a part of, more than you have felt it in quite some time. It also makes getting together, Venus going through your 11th house, getting together with friends, getting together with groups of people, a very, very enjoyable activity. It's like, oh, this is coming very easily. People want to work together. People want to get together. People want to talk to me. People want to connect. So you're probably going to really appreciate this energy. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars in Cancer. And by the way, Mars is going to be moving through Cancer throughout the entire month of May, still keeping you possibly awake at night, so maybe giving you a little bit of insomnia. Mars in Cancer is going to be sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house. And it's also going to be in a very harmonious aspect with Neptune and Pisces in your 8th house. So what's happening at this time? Well, it looks like my dear Leos, like you are receiving some sort of behind the scenes support. Very likely, very possibly from someone in a position of power. So someone's got your back in some shape or form. In regards to a career related matter, it can also feel as if there's some sort of hero coming out of the shadows and stepping in and saving you from a very sticky career situation just in the nick of time. Or it can feel as if you receive a boost in your career and in your professional life from where you least expected to receive it. So it does seem to be a pleasant surprise that you are in for. And it can also feel, by the way, that some of the efforts that you may have been putting towards fulfilling a career-related project or effort, all of a sudden they are being recognized and they are kind of like clicking into place. It's like the pieces of the puzzle are falling together, my dear Leo. It can feel as if you are accomplishing some sort of victory at work. And it may have come with sleepless nights on your end and maybe even with a few tears shed. But certainly I gotta say, you're probably gonna be feeling like it was absolutely worth it at this time. On the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 10th house of career. This one is trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. And at the same time, Uranus in Taurus in your 10th house of career is going to be exactly sextiling Mars in Cancer in your 12th house. So, my dear Leos, this is a big win for you professionally. Give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, you may be stepping into a new role career-wise. You may be climbing up the ladder career-wise. You may be launching a very important chapter of your professional life at this time. You're having a breakthrough career-wise. It's no small feat. And the fact that Uranus is involved at the time of the new moon it makes me think that there is some sort of let's say disruption of the status quo in the air. So you might be leaving your current company and going someplace else. I don't know, maybe going to work for the competitors. Or you might be taking everyone by surprise and announcing that you are going to be launching your own business. And it can feel very sudden for a lot of people. It can feel very unexpected. But for you, it's something that you might have been putting effort into consistently, but more from the background, more from behind the scenes. It's a beautiful new moon. You are receiving the support of the heavyweights, of Uranus, of Pluto. I mean, when these planets get involved, you know your life is going to be changed for good, for a very long time. Give yourself credit because you deserve it. Now, on the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, Jupiter is going to be moving into Pisces in your 8th house of shared resources, other people's money, intimacy, taxes, inheritances, and the psyche and psychological transformation. Leos, I have to put it out there. If there is one sign who is going to really love the Jupiter through Pisces transit, in terms of intimacy and relationships, it's gonna be you. Jupiter is going to be elevating your intimate relationships to a form of art, to a mystical experience. If someone's gonna have a lot of sex this summer, it is going to be, yes, you guessed it, you Leos. This is also a fantastic period, my dear Leos, to reap the rewards of money that you may have been putting into other people's businesses, so investments. It is also a really good time in general to invest because you may be feeling inspired. You may be having, let's say, some sort of like a powerful intuitive insights as to what you should be putting your money behind. And there's also a very high chance that throughout this period, at any given time between the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, you could receive some sort of significant financial gift, like a lump sum of money. And if you are in a partnership or in a relationship that is committed and where you share resources, it could be your partner receiving this and you enjoy it together as a team, as a couple. Now, from the 20th of May, the Sun also joins the 11th house party. So the Sun also moves into your friends sector. And let me tell you, everyone wants a piece of you. You are fully booked. Your agenda is overflowing with appointments. It also looks like you now feel ready to fully commit yourself to at least one of your long-term plans for the future, at least for the next 6 months, my dear Leos. Now, on the 26th of May, we have a lunar eclipse, which is a culminating point. It's a closure. It's a peak. It's an ending of a 6-month cycle that kicked off last December in 2020, around the 14th of December. So look at what was going on in your life, give or take a week before, a week after. The eclipse is triggering your 5th house, 11th house axis. It's forming a T-square with Jupiter in Pisces in your 8th house at the time. What is going on here? Well, eclipses, especially lunar eclipses, can bring things into our conscious awareness. So it can feel like you are all of a sudden being hit in the face. Pleasantly hit in the face, because when Jupiter is involved, even if we get kind of like a very surprising news, it's not that bad. Jupiter sweetens the deal. You could be exposed to some sort of significant event connected to your love life, connected to your children. Your children might, if you have children, at least one of your children might complete an important chapter of their life connected to their future in some shape or form. This is also a time when you may be completing a creative project or finding out that you have the funds or the external investment that you needed in order to complete a creative project. It can feel as if there is some sort of wild card entering the scene, entering the picture related to one of your long-term plans, and you may need to, let's say, get a partner involved at this time, because even though you may have been very intent on completing this project or completing this dream, this objective by yourself, it looks like you do need a little bit of support at this time. Some of you Leos out there, especially Leo risings, may find out that you are going to have a child. Some of you are likely to experience a culminating moment in their romantic life. So there could be some sort of truth that comes to the surface related to your romantic partner if you are in a relationship already. If you are not in a relationship, then I have to say you do have a very high chance of having some sort of fated encounter with a long-term potential partner at this time. And on the 29th of May, by the way, the eclipse is going to be active on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, because eclipses do generally have a wider time frame. And on the 29th of May, Mercury is going to go retrograde in Gemini until the 22nd of June in your 11th house. So this is a period of time in your life when you are very likely going to catch up with friends from the past, and also review and revise at least one of your long-term plans, because there could be additional details that you may need to take care of, or that you may need to go through with a fine-tooth comb, or there could be someone who you, let's say, relied upon who is no longer available to help you in a group project, and you have to figure out a way to make things work regardless. There can also be, I will put it out there, some communicational challenges, especially with groups of people, my dear Leos. And that is the month of May for you. My lovely Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings, welcome to your May horoscope. You are going to be the center of attention this month because we are going in eclipse season. One of the stars of this eclipse season is going to be Mercury. Why? Because Mercury is going to go retrograde right after the lunar eclipse happening on the 26th of May. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with the very beginning. Mercury, your ruler, so the ruling planet of your identity, of your personality, of your sense of self, and to an extent of your life direction, I will say. On the 4th of May, moves into Gemini in your 10th house of career. And dear Virgos, it's gonna stay here until the 11th of July, so for a very, very, very long time. So what is that? 2 months? More than 2 months. Your intellectual energy, stamina, efforts are going to be directed even more than usual, dear Virgos, towards career-related matters and towards professional topics, and possibly also interacting with many people in positions of power and having to do a lot of communications, a lot of filling documents, and a lot of exchanging ideas and opinions at the very kind of like top level of the pyramid. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also going to be joining the Gemini party in your house of career, and you are probably really going to like this transit. Why? Because Venus rules your house of values, talents, skills, and sense of self-worth and self-esteem. And with Venus from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, you may be feeling very appreciated by bosses. You may be feeling very appreciated by people in positions of leadership. You may feel like when it comes to career matters, it's easier to relate to people. It's easier to form connections. It's easier to be liked in public. Your ideas fly. Your ideas are received with the joy in general. It can make this period a very, very pleasant time in your professional life. And I have to put it out there. If you are thinking of making some sort of career-related move, maybe interviewing, maybe promoting yourself, maybe reaching out to the public, then this is a fantastic time, my dear Virgos, especially since Venus is also the ruler of your 9th house of disseminating and spreading ideas to the world. Now, from the 9th until the 13th, Mars in Cancer in your 11th house of friends, and Mars is going to be in your 11th house of friends and collaborators the entire month, is going to sextile Uranus and Taurus in your 9th house. Now, this can lead to you taking the initiative throughout this entire period when it comes to maybe organizing some sort of impromptu group type of activity, maybe a conference, maybe a trip, maybe a journey overseas. You may also be feeling very inspired at this time in terms of launching some sort of promotional effort. So maybe launching an advertising campaign, a publishing campaign. For those of you who are involved in some sort of educational activity in a course of study, it can feel like maybe a team project is going stupendously, and it looks like you're the one taking the lead with Mars in the 11th house. It's like you are feeling aligned with team members and collaborators at this time. whilst at the same time feeling in charge, which is very, very powerful. On the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, my dear Virgos, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 9th house of long distance travel, the higher mind, judicial matters. This is also connected with university and academia and higher education. And the new moon in Taurus is going to be trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house of love and romance. And Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house is also going to be in a very, very nice aspect to the new moon in Taurus. What is going on at this time? So it looks like you are kicking off a new chapter in your life when it comes to your belief systems, your personal life philosophy, but also very likely your studies. And especially higher education is included here, but also any sort of philosophical, political, cross-cultural studies. So the types of studies that broaden the mind. Even astrology falls under this remit. You could be embarking upon an online course, an online class. It does seem to be something that you are very, very passionate about because the new moon is trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house of passions. This can also be a time when you receive beautifully packaged news, and maybe even surprisingly good news, because we have Uranus in the mix, connected to some sort of matter that is related to travel, long distance travel in particular, but also related to maybe visas, immigration papers, passports, residency permit. It can feel like a big win in the legal environment and in the travel related department. It can also be a time when you decide to go away with a romantic partner, since we have both the 5th house as well as the 7th house Neptune involved. Or you could be meeting a romantic partner. I don't know, some Virgos are single. Good for you. Good for you. Go out there in the world. Now, on the 13th of May until the 28th of July, 27th, 28th of July, my dear Virgos, we have Jupiter, the great benefic, the bringer of good luck and opportunities, moving through Pisces in your 7th house of partnerships, marriage, long-term committed relationships. What is happening at this time? Virgos, I gotta put it out there. This is going to be probably one of the most beautiful periods in your relationship sector that you have experienced in a very, very long time. It is setting the tone, setting the scene for 2022, when Jupiter is going to be moving throughout the entire year in your 7th house of partnerships. It can bring, for those of you who are single, all sorts of partnership opportunities, both in your personal life as well as in your business sector. It is, let me tell you, a fantastic time to enlist a consultant of any type in your life. It can be an attorney, it can be an accountant, it can be a therapist. So literally anyone who you would work with on a one-to-one basis, you're probably going to find someone who you resonate tremendously and who essentially helps you understand more about yourself, more about your past. It can also be a time when you collaborate with a life partner on something connected to the home, because Jupiter also rules your 4th house of home. Essentially, in a nutshell, this aspect is good luck and privileges and benefits coming to you via your partnership sector. Now, on the 20th of May, the sun enters Gemini in your 10th house of career, putting the spotlight once again on your career sector and giving you even more exposure in this part of your life. And on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 4th house of home, but also triggering your 10th house of career and public status and public reputation. And this is also forming a T-square with Jupiter in your 7th house of partnerships. Oh my days, this is huge news for you, my dear Virgos. That seems to be affecting both your private life as well as your public life, and changing in some shape or form your status and reputation and image out into the world. there is a possibility that some Virgos might get engaged or married around this time, or that they could meet someone who they see themselves, let's say, ready to build a family with. Some Virgos are also possibly going to move into a new home, or welcome a new family member in their life. It does look like at this time your family life and your private life as you know it and as you are used to it is ending. It could be that at this time you leave a home behind. There is a possibility that you are leaving a home behind due to what is going on in your career sector. So there could be some sort of development in your career sector that asks you to move away from where you are living right now. Your private life as you know it is probably going to be over. Not to be dramatic or anything, but we are talking about eclipses here. So keep me posted as to how this is going. Essentially, this can be the same. In a nutshell, you saying goodbye to a home, you saying goodbye to a place that you may have been very emotionally attached to, but at the same time, there's a lot going on in your career sector, and a lot is changing in your public life, and you also have a partner possibly that you need to work with and include right now, so it's very interesting. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury, your ruler, is going retrograde in your house of career, and throughout this entire period you may be renegotiating something in your professional sector. You may be collaborating with someone from the past, or you may be receiving an opportunity from someone who you worked with in your work life at some point in the past. It can feel like possibly something that you may have envisaged yourself doing for a very, very long time, but maybe you didn't have the opportunity to do so. It can feel like this type of setup is making its way into your life slowly but surely, almost as if you may have dreamt it, almost as if you may have conjured it. Now, if you were waiting to start off a new career chapter, so maybe start off a new job, there can be some delays, and the delays are very likely to be related to communications and paperwork. So for instance, let's say you were interviewing for a new job, there could be a last minute additional interview that you have to do with, I don't know, the account manager from overseas, something of that nature. So don't think that this delay is going to be essentially damaging the efforts that you have made so far and the results that you were counting on, but it is a little bit of an additional hoop to go through. So an extra patience is going to take you a really long way. Don't get over anxious. Don't overthink it. Take care of it, and good things are very, very likely on their way to you, my dear Virgos. My dear Libras, Libra Suns, and Libra Risings, welcome to your May horoscope. You are probably, there's no guarantees in life, but you're probably gonna love, or at least enjoy a great deal, the first part of the month. I have to tell you there's going to be so much emphasis in May, at least until we hit the eclipse towards the latter part of the month, on ninth house matters for you. So traveling, connecting with other people, and expanding your horizons, learning new things, exploring. So you're probably going to be very pleased with that. Let's dig into the astrology. So on the 4th of May until the 11th of July, Mercury, which is, by the way, the actual ruler of your 9th house, as well as the ruler of your 12th house of spirituality and rest and introspection. Mercury is going to be going through your 9th house, and throughout this entire period, it can feel literally as if your mind is geared towards matters that have to do with long distance travel, higher education, as well as your big picture of life, your personal life philosophy. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is going to be moving through Gemini in this part of your chart, and Venus is your actual ruler. So what's happening here? Essentially, if you're traveling, there's no guarantees, of course, but if you are to travel this summer, I highly recommend that you do so, especially if you travel abroad, when Venus is going through the 9th house, because your trips are likely to be incredibly pleasant. You are likely to feel welcome. You are likely to feel appreciated. And also, you are very likely to receive positive news connected to either higher education or legal and judicial matters, especially connected to travel, immigration, passports, visas, residency, those kind of topics. Now, from the 9th of May until the 13th, there's a very nice aspect that I like. Between two heavyweights, Mars and Uranus. Mars in Cancer in your house of career is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 8th house. It can feel as if the efforts that you've been putting towards your professional life are helping you overcome some sort of blockage, some sort of crisis. It is also very possible, very likely that throughout this period, if you work in a commission-based environment, that you might receive a chunky commission. So quite a significant lump sum of money. And on the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we actually have a new moon in Taurus in your 8th house of shared resources and other people's money, as well as psychological transformation. Trining Pluto in your 4th house of home, family, and roots. Oh, it looks like Max is here to join us for your horoscope, Libras. And the new one is also going to be in a beautiful aspect to Neptune and Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. So what is going on here? Well, there is a possibility that some Libras might be getting some sort of lump sum of money, might be getting approval for maybe a mortgage, something to put towards the home. Maybe it is a loan. So it seems to be good news connected to money that you may be directing towards the home. And the money isn't something that you have, let's say, put aside. It's not something that you've saved. It's either this kind of like big chunk of money from an investment, insurance, loan, mortgage, or from a very, very rich partner. It could also be that your partner receives some really good news connected to their finances, and together you pool your resources and you are going to put the money towards something that you are doing in the home sector, real estate, family, maybe a home renovation. If you have been experiencing any sort of challenges on a health level, especially mental health level, you are feeling so much better at this time, and it can feel as if you have some sort of revelation connected to whatever was, whatever was stressing you out, and whatever wasn't keeping you in the best state of mind, dear Libras. Now, from the 13th of May until the 28th of July, Jupiter is going to be moving through Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Libras, this is a time of busyness, business as well as busyness. Your daily schedule is going to be absolutely jam-packed. It can feel like probably one of the busiest periods in your work life for quite some time. But it's also something to really look forward to, because whenever Jupiter goes through a certain part of our chart, it tends to bring opportunities. Sure, these opportunities can be disguised as extra work, but it does look like the work that you are doing throughout this period is something that you truly enjoy. It can also be a time when you feel like you are making significant progress in the direction of maintaining and elevating your state of health and wellness. From the 20th of May, the sun moves into Gemini in your 9th house as well, so putting extra emphasis on those topics connected to education and travel. And on the 26th of May, and I would also look at the week before the week after, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, triggering your axis of learning and traveling, the 3rd house, 9th house axis. And the full moon is forming a T-square with Jupiter and Pisces in your 6th house of day-to-day work. What's happening at this time? First of all, I would strongly recommend that you look back at what was going on in your life, something that you may have kicked off in December, around the 14th of December, because this lunar eclipse is the culmination of a 6-month cycle, and it can literally be linked to what you've been experiencing in your axis of learning, so in your learning sector or in the travel sector at the time. You're probably gonna hear news. It could take you by surprise, connected to your education. You might be completing a course. You might be hearing the results of an exam at this time. You may also receive news that you have to travel, maybe quite suddenly, quite unexpectedly at this point in time, and it can be connected to your work. It can also feel as if a cycle of learning connected to your work is ending at this point in time. If you have siblings, then one of your siblings could bring some unexpected news to the table. Very likely related to either their education or their work environment. Now, at the time of the eclipse, Neptune in your 6th house of day-to-day work is sextiling Mars in Cancer in your 10th house of career. Whatever is happening at the time of the eclipse, and if it's touching upon work-related topics, it seems to be a time of opportunity. So maybe you hear of someone leaving the team, maybe you hear of a colleague leaving the team, maybe you hear of, let's say, a collaborator no longer being willing to work on a project and you have to regroup quite fast. But you seem to be in charge at the time with Mars in Cancer in your 10th house, and you've got things under control and you act instinctively and intuitively. And this for you could feel it in your bones. It's a very, very rare, but also significant opportunity to climb up the ladder career-wise. So take it, jump in, solve the matter, and pick up the rewards. Now, from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury is going to go retrograde in Gemini in your 9th house of long-distance travel and the higher mind. You could be traveling to a place that you've been to before, abroad. You may have to resend maybe some documents if you were involved in some sort of legal kind of like process. You could have to fill in additional paperwork. There could be something that was lost in translation. You might also have to retake a test or maybe do something extra for a work and education related project. So that is May for you, dear Libras. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, oh my gosh, the energy of May is very intense for you, and you do intense very well. So I'm actually not that worried for you, Scorpios. It's not like you expect life to be smooth and uneventful, because that would be boring, right? Who wants boring? You want to feel like you are alive, to feel the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows and the feelings and the emotions. So yeah, you seem to be getting quite a bit of that in May. So from the 4th of May until the 11th of July, Mercury is going to be moving through Gemini in your 8th house of shared resources and other people's money, as well as secrets and the psyche. Now, Mercury for you also rules your 11th house of long-term plans. So literally until the 11th of July, you may be having all sorts of conversations with a partner, be it a business partner or a life partner, or both, connected to one of your long-term plans where you have to put resources together, pool resources together with someone else. You might also be thinking quite a lot, because that's Mercury, about investments and about what you can do to, well, multiply your passive income. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also going through Gemini in your 8th house, and this is actually generally a really good time, although I would steer clear from the eclipse time, to invest in other people's ventures, because Venus brings money, Venus is values, Venus brings pleasure, so there is a possibility that what you put into other people's ventures could yield a really good return on investment. I would stay away from the 26th of May and also the few days before, a few days after, though, if you can, because the energy is volatile at the time of eclipses. With Venus going through your 8th house, let me also tell you, you are going to be enjoying your intimate relationships more than usual, because you generally do enjoy them, because you connect so deeply with people. But this is going to make it really, really fun. And yeah, well, I highly recommend, if you can, maybe, I don't know, going away for a little bit, locking yourself in the home with a partner. I don't know, you figure it out. You are the one with the imagination in this sector, my dear Scorpios. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars, who is going to be transiting through Cancer the entire month in your 9th house of the higher mind and long-distance travel, is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 7th house of long-term committed partnerships. So there can be some sort of sudden decision and action and initiative that you, together with a partner, decide to take, and it can have some sort of legal implications. So it could be, let's say, that you decide to buy something together, that you decide to, I don't know, sign a contract together. Wink, wink, marriage contracts, you know? There's also a very high chance that you might decide to go for a lastminute.com trip at this point. You could be surprising your partner with something of this type. Although the other way around is also possible. Let's not forget. Now, on the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 7th house of long-term committed partnerships and relationships. And it is trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house of communication. The new moon is also nicely aspecting Neptune in Pisces. Did someone say engagement? I did. Did someone else say marriage? Okay, I did that too. There are going to be Taurians who do get engaged, or who, my apologies, Scorpios, not Taurians, because the new moon is in Taurus. There are going to be Scorpios who are likely to get engaged at this time, or if you are single, who are likely to connect with someone, to meet with someone who has the potential to become a long-term committed partner. It looks like there is a very easy flow of communication between you and a partner in your life at this time, essentially making you think, do you know what? I could really live with this person. For how long? For the rest of my life. Yeah, I don't do half measures. I mean, I'm obviously talking on your behalf, Scorpios. But yeah, you generally don't do half measures. There's also a possibility, if you've been looking to sell something, that you could find a buyer, and it could be something that has been, I don't know, dragging about in your life for quite some time, and all of a sudden it's like, the perfect buyer steps in. You are really, really gonna like this new moon, my dear Scorpios. Now, from the 13th of May until the 28th of July, Jupiter, the great benefic, the bringer of good luck and opportunities, and the ruler of your house of money, is gonna be moving through Pisces in your 5th house of love, children, creativity, fun, entertainment, and passion. Okay, Scorpios. I did tell you this was gonna be intense, but it's gonna be good intense. This is truly a 2.5 months period of fun, romance, entertainment, partying, connecting with a romantic partner, and you are going to relish it. It can also feel as if you are expanding your understanding and your knowledge and your wisdom in regards to a topic that you absolutely love, It can be spiritual in some shape or form. It's also very possible that throughout this period, you could, for instance, be thinking to travel with a romantic partner. And let me tell you, you are going to be spending your money, your hard-earned cash, a lot on things that bring you joy, activities that bring you joy, experiences that bring you joy. And you deserve it. You absolutely do. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun also moves into Gemini in your 8th house of intimacy, and essentially putting additional spotlight on topics such as connecting with an intimate partner and becoming, let's say, more accustomed to their values and how you can work together as a couple, very, very likely. And on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, week after, we have a lunar eclipse happening in your 2nd house of income, obviously opposing the sun in the 8th house of other people's money, and forming a T-square with Jupiter in Aquarius in your 5th house of passions and creativity. So what's going on at this time? Well, some of you folks might be getting some sort of let's say maybe grant or a scholarship or a lump sum of money that you can put towards a passion project. Some of you might be getting paid for a creative project that you have completed at this time. I also want to flag the more dramatic scenarios and cases. There is a possibility that a source of income, an existing source of income at this time, Scorpios, is exiting your life, because at lunar eclipses, things can exit our life, people can exit our life, and at the same time, you don't seem to be very worried. So indeed, it could be that your finances are taking, let's say, a new path after this moment in time. It could also be that you hear of the fact that you've received a lump sum of money. It could be an inheritance, it could be an insurance, it could be a grant, and you can rethink your entire approach to your salary, to your day-to-day job, to the income that you brought home every month. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury goes retrograde in the 8th house of other people's money. So essentially throughout this period, you may have to maybe fill in additional paperwork connected to this grant, this loan, or this mortgage. And there is a possibility that you may have to pick up some old talks with a partner related to what you plan to do with the finances that you have pooled together. There may also be some sort of, let's say, communicational challenges connected to shared resources, and I do recommend not getting overly annoyed, let's say, because on most key aspects connected to this sum of money that you might be sharing, or this asset that you might be sharing, on the key aspects you seem to be aligned with a partner, but there are some details. Mercury, devil is in the details, in the small print. There are some details that need to be ironed out. So take your time and don't get overly impatient, my dear Scorpios. My dear Sagittarians, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. Your month, your May, is going to be on fire because you are one of the stars of this month, since, guess what? Eclipse season is triggering your sign. So let's start with the very beginning. From the 4th of May until the 11th of July, I know that's a very long time, Mercury, which is the ruler of your 7th house of marriage and long-term partnerships and committed relationships, is going to be transiting through this particular sector of your chart, essentially directing your mental energy and your communicational efforts to forming relationships, nurturing relationships, clarifying things within existing relationships. Mercury is also the ruler of your 10th house of career, so it can be that throughout this longer period, you actually have all sorts of, talks I was about to say life-altering talks. They could very well be, since we are in eclipse season, with partners, both life partners as well as business partners, about your career plans. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, we have Venus entering Gemini in your 7th house of partnerships. And this is actually a period that you're probably going to enjoy a lot, because Venus brings pleasure. Venus brings joy with it. It brings harmony, it brings balance, it brings equilibrium, it brings beauty, and it seems to be bringing it in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships. Now, for those Sagittarians who are single, this is a very, very beautiful time to connect with a long-term potential partner. You seem to be in high demand. You seem to attract the attention of potential partners. For those of you who are in a relationship already, then it can feel like a period of increased harmony within the relationship. But there is a but, and we're gonna get to it. The eclipse. The eclipse, which seems to be bringing some sort of wild card into your relationships this month. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, we actually have a very important aspect, a harmonious one, so you're going to enjoy it, between Mars and Cancer in your 8th house of intimacy and intimate partnerships and shared resources, sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house of health and day-to-day work. A few things could happen at this time. First of all, you could be securing some sort of investment, external investment for a work-related project. Secondly, you could be helping someone in the work environment, maybe a colleague, a team member, a stakeholder at work. You could be helping them sort out some sort of financial conundrum, and you seem to be the one offering a solution that comes across as ingenious and original and inventive. So you're probably going to be appreciated for it. On the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, Sagittarians, we have a new moon happening in Taurus in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health, trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house of income, and there's also a nice aspect to Neptune and Pisces in your 4th house. But what I'm really excited is the new moon trining Pluto. So, Sagittarians, some of you are probably going to start off a new job a lot better paid than the previous one. It looks like you might be headhunted. It looks like you may be receiving a new position. The important thing to take away out of this is the following. First of all, more money seems to be coming your way. So be careful how you play your cards. Essentially, if you don't know what to do with the energies of next month, I gotta tell you, Sagittarians, it is a great time to apply for new jobs. It is also a great time to be receiving news connected to maybe some of the jobs that you have applied to. And it also looks like your talents and your inner resources are being tremendously appreciated at work at the time. And you are probably going to be receiving some sort of assignment where you can use your talents very constructively. It's making you feel really good about yourself, Sagittarians. Now, from the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, you have Jupiter, your ruler, moving through its feminine domicile through Pisces in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past. Some Sagittarians throughout this period are probably going to travel to see families, to spend time with family. It can feel like a very, very beautiful period where you are connecting with family members, reconnecting with family members, strengthening the bond with them. Some Sagittarians may be thinking of buying a new home, and they might be feeling very optimistic about it. And let's face it, because you're such an optimistic sign, Sagittarians, and you tend to see the glass half full, you generally land very much on your feet, and you attract abundance and more cheerfulness in your life. Some Sagittarians at this time may be feeling inclined to spend more time at home because the home feels like a sanctuary. So even if you do travel, you could be feeling inclined to spend more time, let's say, in some sort of, I don't know, maybe like an apartment or like a villa. Maybe not an apartment, maybe like a villa in the jungle. Why did I say an apartment? That is such a Moon and Capricorn thing to say. I'm thinking small, you're thinking big. There is this feeling of going to the temple for you, my dear Sagittarians, and of feeling at home with it. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun also starts illuminating your 7th house of marriage and partnerships and long-term committed relationships. So it looks like your attention is being fully drawn towards this part of your life. And on the 26th of May, and I would also look at the week before, the week after, we have a lunar eclipse, which is a closure, a peak, a culmination. In your first house of identity, and it is obviously triggering the sun in your 7th house of partnership, and it is part of a T-square with Jupiter in Pisces in your 4th house of home. Sagittarians, at this time, it looks like you are literally completing an evolutionary cycle in your personal growth journey in this lifetime. Your identity is being let's say upgraded. It is receiving a massive refresh, a massive upgrade, I will say, as a result of what's happening in your relationship sector. So maybe you are committing to someone for the long run. Maybe you're moving in with someone, which is actually very possible. Maybe you realize how much you have changed as a result of a committed relationship in your life. Some of you might also be feeling the urge to free yourselves from a relationship, but whatever events unfold at this time, they can feel quite fated in terms of where your partnership sector is going and what that means generally for your life direction. It can feel like your life direction is changing as a result of what's going on in your relationship sector. And this also seems to be reflected in your living situation at the time, my dear Sagittarians. It's important to remember the energy of culmination and of peak and of something being brought to your conscious awareness at the time. Now, on the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury is going retrograde in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships and committed relationships. You may reconnect with a person from your past, someone, a previous partner, a former partner, an ex-partner, or there can be talks and conversations that you have with a committed partner at this time, connected to how you can, let's say, present your relationship to the world, and also connected to what your relationship means for your career and for your public status and your public reputation. When Mercury goes retrograde, I always make a point of reminding people that they might feel a little bit misunderstood. So there could be some miscommunication, some misalignment with a partner in your life, be it a business partner or a personal life partner. So you may have to spell things out more than usual and double, triple check that the message has landed in the manner that you wanted it to land, my dear Sagittarians. It looks like whatever is happening in your relationship sector, it is definitely making you, let's say, reconsider some of the important structures of your life. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? How important are other people's opinions about who you choose as your partner and who you choose to be with? So there's all sorts of let's say, thoughts that might come up into your head. Now, for those of you who are single, then this can be a time when you meet someone who feels like a fated partner, dear Sagittarians. Now, if you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, this month, dear Capricorns, is going to be Yeah, you guessed it. Is going to be focused a great deal on work for you. Yep. And also a little bit of rest, because you are going to need it. It looks like you have been overworking yourself. Who? Capricorns? Oh my gosh, Capricorns don't even care about work. I'm not even worried about using sarcasm on you, Capricorns. I know you get it. You invented sarcasm. Some people think that Scorpio invented it. I say a Capricorn invented it, because you have to laugh in the face of adversity and in the face of life's challenges, because otherwise our brain would crack. So let's go back to the very beginning of the month, Capricorns. On the 4th of May until the 11th of July, actually, Mercury is going to be moving through Gemini in your 6th house of day-to-day work as well as health. It can feel throughout this time like your job is requiring even more mental energy to for you to direct towards it. And let me tell you, if there's going to be socialization with coworkers and forming new connections with people at work, it is going to happen between the 4th of May this year and the 11th of July. Your inbox is going to be crying. It's going to be crying because of the load and the weight of the emails that are waiting for you, Capricorns. Yeah, I know. So exciting. A lot of emails to be answering. However, I do have good news. Venus is going to be transiting from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, your 6th house of day-to-day work. So it's going to feel actually quite pleasant to connect with new people at work, to collaborate with people. It's actually going to feel super, super pleasant. I gotta say, to be working very likely on a creative project that makes you excited. Yes, I said it. It seems to be making you excited. And even though you're busy, because you are going to be busy, trust me, you're enjoying the results of your work. It can feel like a very fruitful time, a very pleasant time to be working together with other coworkers. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, I actually like this time. Why? Because Mars, planet of passion, is going to be in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships, and it's going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 5th house of creativity as well as romance. So a few things can happen at this time. First of all, if you are in a partnership, and even if you're not, you're probably going to attract someone who is very interested in you. How? They are literally crazy for you and probably going to be chasing you around. There's a lot of passion, essentially, that is making its way into your life in your relationship sector at this time. You decide what to do with it. Sparks are flying, let me tell you. And it doesn't matter if you're single or if you're in a relationship with someone. If you are single, then you can attract someone in your life who has the hots for you. If you're working towards a creative project and obviously like finalizing a creative project, this can feel like a time of increased productivity. And when you are getting these kind of like innovative, original ideas unexpectedly from people in your life. Now, on the 11th of May, we have a new moon in Taurus in your 5th house, trining Pluto and Capricorn in your 1st house of identity, and in a very nice aspect to Neptune and Pisces in your 3rd house of communication. What's happening, Capricorns? It looks like at this time, some Capricorns, let me put it out there, are probably going to find out that they're going to have a baby. Yes, I said it. Other Capricorns may, I was about to say may acquiesce. I think that's the right way to pronounce it. May agree. Why am I trying to be complicated and use all of these fancy words? I'm trying to impress you, Capricorns. That's why I'm telling you. Some Capricorns around the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, may find themselves in a new romantic relationship, or may find themselves in the company of someone who they could really see themselves with in the long run. It looks like you are feeling a great deal like yourself in the company of this romantic partner. Some of you Capricorns may initiate a long-term creative project at this time, and it does seem like it is contributing to making you feel like a new person altogether. It's giving you a new lease of life. I really like it. Now, on the 13th of May until the 27th, 28th of July, Jupiter is going to be moving from the sign of Aquarius into Pisces in your third house of communications, of short distance travel, of siblings, and of the objective, concrete mind. What's happening at this time? Well, this is going to be, let me tell you, a period in which you are probably going to be on the road quite a lot, traveling short distance, traveling locally quite a lot. It is a period of increased mental productivity, a period of new ideas coming into your head out of nowhere, out of your dreams, out of your daily mundane interactions. It's a moment of, well, it's a 2.5 months long moment of increased inspiration, and you can make so many connections at this time. Take advantage of it, talk to people, because you may find wisdom, ideas, and inspiration in the places that you expect the least. And for those of you who have siblings, some really good news connected to siblings might be coming your way throughout this entire period, or maybe you're going to be feeling like it's time to spend more time with your siblings. One of them, maybe, at least. Now, on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. Triggering your axis of service, the 12th house, 6th house axis. And the sun had already entered this part of your chart, so essentially drawing extra attention on the 20th of May. And the sun actually governs your 8th house of secrets and psychological transformation and crisis, but also death and rebirth. On the 26th of May, and I would also look at the week before, the week after, there can be some sort of culmination in your health sector. You could essentially feel completely exhausted and feel like you have to rest. There could be some sort of maybe, possibly some sort of inflammation in the body, which is probably due to you overworking yourself. That requires you to slow down and to take a breather and very likely take some time off. There's also a possibility that you might hear quite unexpectedly some jarring news connected to one of your coworkers. So someone might leave work quite suddenly. Someone might decide that enough is enough, that they are no longer suited to the work environment that you have been finding yourselves in together. It looks like there is some sort of ending, closure happening in your work-related sector, and you did not see this coming. So maybe it's quite like a sudden closure of a work project that you may have been very invested in. Maybe there's someone leaving work. Maybe you decide, my dear Capricorns, that you want your life to be different. You're not about this life. You are ready to leave behind some of your duties and responsibilities and look someplace else for fulfillment. Which, speaking of, you probably very likely will. I gotta tell you, if there is someone who is likely to think about adjusting their work environment, it's gonna be you this year, and especially throughout eclipse season. Now, Neptune in Pisces in your third house of connections at the time of the eclipse is in a sextile to Mars in Cancer in your seventh house of partnerships and committed relationships. So, whatever happens at work, it looks like you have your back covered, and you seem to have a very, very powerful partner, maybe already giving you some sort of opportunity to be looking forward to, my dear Capricorn. So I'm actually not worried about you. You've got things planned out. I mean, you're obviously very well known for your strategic long-term thinking. And from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, Mercury is going to be going retrograde in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So there can be some readjustments that you have to make in your day-to-day work sector. Maybe wrap up some projects or review and revise some older projects. Maybe have to work with an older or existing client. There's also a possibility that you may hear of an opportunity to collaborate with someone from your past in the work environment. I do want to tell you, technology is very likely to break down at work throughout this period. Triple check that emails are not stuck in your inbox or outbox, I think it's called. So when emails don't get sent through, there can be challenges in communicating with colleagues. Essentially, it can feel like everyone's mind at work is quite scattered and reeling after the announcement made around the 26th of May. So that is May for you, Capricorns. My Aquarius brothers and sisters, May for us is gonna be a fun one. I gotta put it out there. If there's one zodiac sign that is really going to enjoy this month, it's gonna be us, because there is going to be so much emphasis on our 5th house of love and entertainment. So let's get cracking. From the 4th of May until the 11th of July, we have Mercury entering the sign of Gemini in our 5th house of love and romance. Essentially, our mental energy is very much going to be directed towards this area of our life for, what is it, roughly 2 months? Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also going to be moving through the sign of Gemini in the same part of our chart, essentially making all sorts of activities connected to the 5th house. So going out, spending time working on a creative project, connecting with a romantic partner. Venus is going to make sure that you are going to be enjoying these a great deal, my dear Aquarians. And Venus is also the ruler of your, what is it? Let's look what house does Venus rule. Venus rules your 4th house of home, so it can feel as if you are maybe having fun and enjoying yourself with family members, with maybe at least a member of the family. It can also feel as if you are possibly reconnecting with people from your past, from your childhood, and you are hitting it off, dear Aquarians. And I know there are Aquarius people out there who are single, because guess what? We are just fine by ourselves most of the times. This is a really good time to go out, to go on dates, because the romantic energy and the connection between you and potential romantic partners is through the roof. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars in Cancer in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Yes, you do have some work to do still. I know it's gonna be a fun month, but at the same time, don't forget about your work duties. From the 9th until the 13th, Mars in Cancer in your 6th house of work is sextiling Uranus in Taurus in your 4th house. It could be that you very suddenly and unexpectedly and surprisingly you are completing a home-related task, and you are very happy with the way things have turned out. Maybe you were looking for a home. Maybe you were looking to, renovate the kitchen. Maybe you have been trying to figure out some sort of like home-related move, and all of a sudden it's like things click between this time frame. Now, on a more serious note, not that home renovations aren't serious, because they absolutely are. There is also a possibility that if there was a family member suffering from anything health-wise, that you are getting very good news between this time frame. So it's like they are fighting and winning if it comes to any sort of like disease or sickness or inflammation. Now, on the 11th of May, Aquarians, we have a new moon. A beautiful new moon, and I would also recommend looking at the 3 days before, 3 days after. A new moon happening in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and the past. Trining Pluto and Capricorn in your 12th house of all things hidden and of introspection. And also in a beautiful aspect to Neptune and Pisces in your 2nd house of income. So at this point in time, some Aquarians can move into a new home. Some Aquarians can buy a new home, can purchase a new home. And some Aquarians can simply feel, well, I say simply, but it's actually no small feat, can feel like they have created a home environment that truly feels like their sanctuary and like their temple. And they receive this sense of safety and security. You could be reunited with family members at this time. It really feels like you're turning a new leaf in a matter connected with your home and family life and possibly even extended family. And it's a new leaf that you're very happy about. It gives you confidence. It seems to boost your confidence in the future. And it also seems to boost your faith with that beautiful aspect to the new moon. From the new moon to Pluto in your 12th house, which is also connected with spirituality and divinity and faith, because in the 12th house, we surrender the ego and we say, I don't have all the answers. My logical mind can't come up with all the answers. Help me, someone. And it does look like you are receiving help. Now, on the 13th of May until the 28th of July, Jupiter is going to be moving through Pisces in your 2nd house of income. Boy, Aquarians, woohoo! You are bringing home the bacon. I mean, the proverbial bacon, not the actual bacon, because some of you might be vegetarians or vegans. This period seems to bring an increase in income in your life, a very possible increase in opportunities to diversify your sources of income, Aquarius. You could be, if you're working for yourself, like so many Aquarians are, you could be bringing in new clients. It's a fantastic time to promote your services. It's a fantastic time to put yourself out there, to shout out about your achievements, to shout out about your talents. It's also a time when you could be studying to develop one of your existing talents, and you're like, you know what? I think I can capitalize on this. I think I can monetize this further. It is a very, very good time to do that. I have to say, my dear Aquarians, and I would also recommend at this point in time, well, actually between the 13th of May and until the 28th of July, that you listen to your intuition and that you tune into your instincts. And maybe if you are receiving, let's say, inspiration or ideas through dreams, through meditation, I would recommend that you act upon these ideas that come to you, and you have a think about how you can monetize them, because they're probably monetizable. So that would be a really nice way to make use of this energy. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun joins the Gemini party in your 5th house of romantic love, entertainment, passions, and children. And it's putting the spotlight even more on this area of your life. And on the 26th of May, we have a full moon lunar eclipse triggering your 11th and 5th house axis. And it is also forming a T-square with Jupiter in not in Aquarius, my apologies. Jupiter in Pisces in your 2nd house. What's happening at this time? Well, you could find out that maybe something that you were doing as a hobby, something that you were passionate about, but you were only doing it in your free time. you could find out that you have the opportunity to monetize this passion, to monetize this this hobby. The reason why I say this is because at the time of the eclipse, Neptune and Pisces in your second house of income is sextiling Mars in Cancer in your sixth house of day-to-day work. What's also very possible at this time is that a romantic relationship in your life reaches a culminating moment of some sort, and you have to decide which way you're going. There could also be some sort of face-off between you and a romantic partner regarding your values, and you may feel like you need to compromise on your values in order to be with this person. But at the same time, if they're very important to you, then why not? It can also be a time when, I will put it out there, you may hear something that may not necessarily be in alignment with your values regarding a friend. There could be something significant happening in the life of a friend, and you may not necessarily be in agreement with the stance that they decide to take or the path that they decide to take. One of your friends could also be experiencing a significant life event, such as the birth of a baby. You might be hearing about the possibility of a baby being on the way. By the way, whenever the fifth house is triggered, I do remind people that is possible, because we're talking here about an eclipse, and eclipses can bring like actually life-changing events and news with them. You seem to have things under control, though. You're organized, you're ready for it, you're prepared, and even though for the world around you this might come as a surprise, you are used to the Uranian energy of the unexpected. So even if the unknown makes its way to you and kind of like alters your plans for the future slightly, with that Mars and Cancer in your sixth house in aspect to Neptune in your second house of values and income and talents, intuitively, instinctively, you know what to do in order to get the situation under control. And Mercury from the 29th of May until the 22nd of July is going retrograde in Gemini in your fifth house. So throughout this period, there is a possibility that old flames, romantic flames from the past, are reappearing, resurfacing in your life. Yes. Who doesn't love a good ex coming back up in their life? Sarcasm, folks. I mean, I know you're my people. You get me. I don't have to explain myself to you. I did get folks say, "Why do you laugh about tragic matters?" in one of my previous videos. I'm like, no. What's also very likely to happen is because Mercury is also the ruler of your eighth house, there could be some sort of maybe agreements that you need to reach, maybe some documents that you need to draft, that you need to sign, that you need to take care of, that concern a child or that concern one of your creative projects. And you may have thought that you were done with them, but it doesn't look like you are done just yet. There can also be some sort of let's say maybe a crisis coming up related to one of your creative projects, or something that, if you do have children, something that your child is dealing with. And once again, even though you may have thought that the solution was there, you may have to help them walk through this, handhold them to walk through this rough patch in their life. That is May for you, my Aquarius brothers and sisters. Dear Pisces, welcome to your May horoscope. Pisces suns and Pisces risings. For you, Pisceans, the month of May is going to be revolving a great deal around home-related matters, family-related matters. So you might be spending a great deal of time at home, thinking a lot about what's happening in your home environment. So let's dig in. From the 4th of May until the 11th of July, Mercury, who is the ruler, the actual ruler of your house of home, is moving through your 4th house of home and family. Mercury is also the ruler of your 7th house of marriage and long-term partnerships. So it looks like you and your partner are going to be putting two heads together towards maybe solving something connected to your home environment. And it could be a problem or a challenge that might be resurfacing from the past, especially when Mercury goes retrograde between the 29th of May and the 22nd of July. Now, when Mercury goes retrograde, there's also a very high chance that you may travel with a partner to see family, to catch up with family. It's like you're going back possibly to your hometown, to your hometowns, to reset your connection with your roots in some shape or form. There is also a possibility that when Mercury is going retrograde, that you may have to draft some sort of paperwork or fill in documents, or have to take care of like documents and contracts connected to the home in some shape or form. And you may also find yourselves hosting a great deal of people in your home, or catching up with friends in a home environment. Now, from the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, Venus is also moving through Gemini in your 4th house of home. So this is actually a really good time to spend quality time with your family. It can feel as if the dynamic of relationships between you and family members is so much smoother than usual. It's like all of a sudden everyone likes everyone, even the people who couldn't really, let's say, click, who couldn't really resonate with each other. From the 9th of May until the 2nd of June, I also have to tell you, there's a very high possibility, Pisces, that you might be buying, splurging on home-related products, objects, or treating family members to something really, really nice. It's like you are in the mood to spend and to give things to people, to family members in particular, but also to beautify your home. Now, from the 9th until the 13th of May, Mars is going to be moving through Cancer in your 5th house of love and children and creativity, and sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 3rd house. Okay, so if you're working on anything creative, you might have some brilliant ideas, some out-of-the-blue, innovative, eccentric, but also really good ideas connected to a creative project. It can also feel like a time when there are literal sparks flying between you and a romantic partner. And if you are not with someone, then this is, I gotta say, prime time to go out and date people, and especially date people who you meet over... I know how this sounds. This sounds bad, okay? But Uranus is connected with technology. So I was about to say that it is a really good time to meet people in real life who you may have connected to over the internet. But safety first. Don't throw caution to the wind. You might have like a really good connection with someone who you may not have met in real life, who you may have only spoken to online. It's a very flirtatious energy. I will put it out there. Now, on the 11th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a new moon, so a new chapter happening in your 3rd house of learning, communication, and short distance travel, trining Pluto in Capricorn in your 11th house of friends and long-term plans, and in a beautiful aspect to Neptune in your 1st house. Okay, Pisces, it looks like you are kicking off a new learning cycle in your life. Very likely learning about something that makes you feel more like yourself, something very close to your heart. There's also a possibility that you might be joining some sort of classroom type of environment. There can be this sort of group element with Pluto in your 11th house, connected to this new learning journey. There's also a possibility that you may have bought something very important to you at this time, maybe a car, something to help you fulfill one of your long-term objectives with Pluto placed in the 11th house. And you might be thinking, oh, Rux, is a card that's special. And I'm like, yeah, if you depend on it to, I don't know, pursue your goals, of course it is important. It can be a time when you sign and finalize a very important sale in your life, or essentially when you buy something that is very, very important to you, that is very personal and unique to yourself. Now, from the 13th of May until the 28th of July, folks, you are the absolute stars, rock stars of the zodiac, with Jupiter, your ruler, moving through your house of identity. It is a period of tremendous self-growth and self-development. You're feeling optimistic, you're feeling positive, you're feeling in the mood to meet everyone, to connect with everyone, to broaden your mind, to travel, to expand your horizons. You are possibly also feeling in the mood to, form meaningful relationships with mentors in your life. You seem to be in the mood to learn, to experience everything and taste everything that life has to offer. Now, this is also a period when you may be feeling inclined to have, to let your hair down, to put your guard down, to let loose and taste from life's pleasures, especially the pleasures that allow you to escape mundane reality. You may be feeling incredibly inspired and in the mood to create, especially when it comes to music or painting or photography. You could actually pick up one of these throughout this transit. It is also a time of taking risks. I gotta say, if you are deciding to take some sort of risk between this time frame, Jupiter has got your back. Wink, wink. Now, from the 20th of May, the sun moves into Gemini, once again highlighting your fourth house of home and family. So it's kind of like putting a spotlight on what's happening in the home sector. And on the 26th of May, give or take a week before, a week after, we have a lunar eclipse happening in your 10th house of career, opposing, obviously, the sun in your fourth house of home. And it's also forming a T-square with Jupiter in your sign in your first house. Okay, so first of all, I do recommend the following. Go look back at what was going on in your life around the 14th of December, especially in your career and in your, let's say, public status and public reputation sector, and also in your relationship to bosses if you're working with someone. Because this seems to be the high point, the culminating moment of something that may have kicked off, or something that you were drawn to, something that came to your attention connected to these aspects of your life in December last year. Some of you Pisces might hand in your notice and your resignation, and you're like, sayonara, see you never. I am going to move to a completely different country. Goodbye. That's possible. That is actually very possible. It does look like you are completing a very important work and career related chapter in your life. You're taking your career to the next level. This is major. So what's happening at the time in your career can be affecting or impacting your professional life, at least for the next 9 years, until we have another series of eclipses triggering this part of your chart. You may decide to switch professional paths altogether. Some of you might be hearing that their boss is leaving, effectively leaving room for a new king to step up. Some of you may have something incredibly important to announce to the world, and it does seem to be changing your status, your reputation in the eyes of the world. Something that might have been going on behind the scenes in your home and family life. Maybe the fact that, I don't know, you're moving to a new home. Maybe you're thinking of getting pregnant. Maybe you're thinking of, I don't know, moving all together and working remotely full time. So something major. There's also a possibility that something is happening in the life of a family member that requires you to alter your career path, your professional path. But you seem to be at peace with it, I gotta say. With Neptune in the first house at the time, sextiling Mars and Cancer in your 5th house, you seem to be enjoying where this is taking you. Even though it's a big shift, it's a big change, it's a big goodbye in a way. So you are turning a new leaf. Your intuition is saying, yep, this is good for you. I like where this is taking you. And obviously from the 29th of May until the 22nd of June, obviously, Mercury is going to be going retrograde in your 4th house of home. A lot of paperwork connected to the home environment, a lot of comings and goings, having to take care of contractual matters, maybe connected to the home, signing papers. There could be some delays if there are any sort of papers that you need to send through or kind of like complete related to real estate. But it's temporary. Take your time. Roll with the punches, as they say, because it only seems to be a little bit of an administrative kind of delay. I want to point out, though, that when Mercury is retrograde in the 4th house of home, technology could be breaking down, or you could have issues in the home, such as your Wi-Fi saying goodbye temporarily to you. So consider yourselves warned, Pisces. Everyone, thank you so much for joining and for watching your May horoscope. It's been a pleasure for me to do this for you. Let me know how your month is playing out. I absolutely love reading your comments, and even though I may not respond to every single one of them, trust me, I read every single one of them, and I'm like, oh, thank you for checking in. And don't forget, if you want to work with me, if you want to book a reading with me or a live consultation, you can find me on Written in the Stars. That is Written in the Stars-astrology.com. You can also find me on Instagram. My handle is at RUX, so Rux, unbelievable in one word. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my podcast. It absolutely helps. Thank you once again, and have a fabulous May, people. Stay safe.